Good evening, sir.
Okay, I'm on.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. So, shall we wait or shall we get started? There are just 4 participants as of now.
We can wait for 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll wait. Meanwhile, Chandrasekhar, I will take your query.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hello.
So,
Sir.
okay, so I guess I'll share my screen and I'll open those 2 images that you posted yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Is my screen visible?
Sir, it's loading. Yeah, now visible.
Okay. So, all right. So, if we talk about the first image, right? I will try to zoom in a bit.
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Okay, great. So your doubt was, okay, let me read your doubt once. In past cases, consider error is thrown in resolve handler function and then block reject handler pass. So how can it print correct output? A dot is actually printing that handled by resolve.
Okay. This is a second query, sir.
Okay, sure. So what I'll try to do is I'll just try to make you understand that what the output of that program would look like.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you will look at the condition here, it requires the English marks to be greater than 80, physics marks to be greater than 80, and computer marks to be greater than 70. So all of these conditions are satisfied. That means you are going to resolve this promise, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when this promise is resolved, so definitely you are not going to, go here. You are not going to go here. You are going to come here at this statement at line number 27, which says a dot there, right? Now,
Yes,
doesn't matter what you have written here. That is not going to be invoked. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is resolving. Yeah. So whatever name is written here, that is definitely going to be invoked because this promise has resolved. And what we discussed yesterday was that if there is a single function passed in this then block, that single function is going to handle the fulfillment of that promise. If there are 2, the first one will handle the fulfillment, the other one, the second one will handle the rejection.
And if only one is there, then it can handle both of them?
No. It cannot handle both of them. It is only going to handle the fulfillment of the promise. If the promise is rejected, then cannot do anything. Then there must be a catch block to do that if there is just one function in the then. So please, take a note of it that when there is just one function inside the then block, that is going to be invoked in case of the fulfillment of.
Sir, if we pass more than 2, then will it cause error or it will ignore?
It should be a syntax error in that case. Not sure. I have not tried that anytime before. You can do that. But of course, that function doesn't make sense. So syntax error or ignore, don't know what will it do.
Oh, okay, sir.
So dot then with resolve handler and reject handle will work fine.
Sorry?
In a normal way. Dot then with resolve handler and reject handle will work in a normal way.
Correct. Yeah. Then in that case, the first function is going to take care of the fulfillment. The second function is going to take care of the rejection. Right now, if we talk about this specific case, the promise has resolved. We have already seen that. But right now, what you are saying is that when the promise is fulfilled, whatever value you pass there in the resolve, that is going to be passed to this reject handler. Doesn't matter what the name is. You don't have to go by name. Right? Name can be anything. So you will go to reject handler.
Yeah, in reject handler, the function is taking argument as a reject return value. And in reject return value, that if condition is not satisfied.
It's just a variable. See, the formal arguments that you have in function, that means when you define a function, you can say that this is going to accept an argument called a. But when you are calling that function, you can write 10. Okay, let me just try to explain you.
So you wanted to say the reject return value in line number 15 and current line number both are different?
Yeah, correct. What is happening is only a copy of it is passed to this parameter. This is just a variable, nothing else. This is
Okay, so
what you are saying is that
if
if you are passing resolve return value, then it should go to this resolve return value field, right?
Yes,
No,
yes.
it's just a variable.
Okay.
So it is just
Okay.
similar to, let me explain you. Like let's say function ABC is there, which is accepting
function name is resolved, and whatever is within parentheses is argument passed to it.
Correct. Yeah. Now, if you call this ABC function, you can pass it like this. You can pass it like this. You can pass it like this. You can call here D. And what is D? Let's say D is 9. Now,
Okay.
suppose if you have something like let A equals to 6. Now, if you are calling this function ABC with argument 10, then 10 is the value that is going to be given to A. It's not going to be considered as 6, right? 6 is just a value, right? Whatever value you will pass here, a copy of it will go here. Right? If it's a number variable or a string variable in object, of course, you can share references.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, what will happen here? Is, okay. So yeah, of course, means if reject handler is getting
so whatever be the condition is satisfied, that value will be given as a function to this line number 27.
Correct.
A.10.
Yes.
Okay. So whether it is a reject handler or resolve handler, that doesn't matter.
Correct.
It's only the value is. Okay. Now I understood, sir. Okay. Yes. And sir, the catch function was executing in every case. Can you more elaborate on that?
Is it in the same thread or in the different thread?
No, it was in previous thread, previous to that one. I tried 4 cases, and in all 4 of them, actually you replied to that. If possible, if you can revise.
Yeah, which one?
Given this
Which case?
Yeah, this one. Now, in all 4 cases, it is giving the output. Case A, case B, case C, case D. 4 cases I tried. In all 4 cases, we are getting the output from the catch block.
Okay, is the entire program visible?
Yeah, little bit.
So what is happening? It's not completely visible.
Yeah, main part is visible. Fine, sir.
Okay.
There are such 4 cases are there. I just wanted to know that this catch block is going to execute in every case.
Yeah, sure. Let's discuss that. So I'll just put this panel somewhere on the. I'll keep it at the bottom. Or shall I keep it? Okay, let me keep it here. Now, let's check this condition. Is this condition going to be satisfied? 89, 82, and 70. Yeah, the condition is going to be satisfied. That means what you are doing is you are resolving this promise, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when this promise gets resolved, it gets resolved with a value, whatever it is, doesn't matter since we are just going to pass a copy of it. You will go to then, you will see that there is just one function. That means it is going to handle the fulfillment. And we have already seen that the promise is going to be resolved. Since it is going to be resolved, it will call this resolve handler. When you will go to this resolve handler, it will take this value, whatever it gets from here. So it will be promises resolved with the value division 1. This will be passed to this resolve handler, resolve return value. And this will, this will be as it is logged on the console. That is, promise is resolved with the value division 1. This is going to be the first output on your screen. After that, when the control will move to the next statement, it will see that you are trying to generate an error explicitly. So what will happen is that this then has raised an error. Remember that resolve handler is executing here, right? This has raised an error. So what will happen is catch is going to take care of that error. The control will go to the next catch block, the nearest catch block instead. And here you will see that you are getting this whatever the error that was caused in this rejection variable or rej variable. And what you will say that you are trying to print a value rejection caught in the catch block with the value whatever you get. So in that case, the output should be promise is resolved with the value division 1 and rejection caught in the catch block with the value whatever it gives. So catch block here is invoked because your resolve handler generated an error. It raised an error. So that's why this catch block gets invoked.
Yes, sir. This is the first case that you already explained in the previous example. This line number 22 in next cases is written in the part of the rejection handler. And still that error is able to invoke. Maybe case C or case D.
Okay, let's discuss those cases only. So yeah, here's the C case.
Not here. Here, sir. This one.
Okay, so let's see if the condition is satisfied or not. Condition is satisfied, right? It is going to be resolved. So if you will come here, you will see that, okay, the condition is satisfied, the promise is going to be fulfilled. And since there is just one function in the then block, don't go by name, it is going to be invoked. With what value? With the value promise is resolved with the value division 1, right?
Okay.
So what will happen is reject handler will be invoked. This is not going to be invoked. What is going to be invoked is this, that is defined at line number 24, reject handler. What you will do is you will print the value as it is on the screen. That is promise is resolved with the value division 1. That will be shown here on the screen. Right after that, you are again doing the same thing like we discussed in the previous case. You are right away generating an error. That error will be caught by this catch block. And this is going to show the same message on the console.
Okay. Now it's clear.
So you will be getting two messages again. Promise is resolved with the value division 1 and rejection caught in the catch block.
Okay, as you made clear, it's a value. So reject handler can handle the value written by the resolved return value. Okay. Now it's
Correct.
clear, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Do we need to discuss the fourth case?
No, sir. Now it's clear. Idea is clear.
Okay. Great.
I will get the rest. Yeah.
All right. I hope the promise thing is clear. Shall I close this? Is there anything else?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So how many participants do we have now? Okay, not much, not yet. All right. I think we can start now. So how many of you have already tried solving these assignments?
Week 1, I could do. Week 2, I was not able to complete.
Okay, week 1 you all have done, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Chandrasekhar, yeah, you have raised your hand.
Sir, I did it.
You did both of these.
Second one partially is I completed it almost. It's 90%.
Okay.
That one I just keep it pending.
So I just wanted to know that if first one was done by everyone, so we can spend more time on the second one. So I can basically skip the first one if all of you agree.
Yes, sir, you can.
We can go through the solution code of week 1 also subsequently.
I do not have any solution code in place as of now.
No. For week 1, solution code is available in the portal.
Okay. And yeah. All right. That is it. Okay. So it's a very, what I would say, step. Just a minute. Some issue happening with my cursor. Okay, not sure this is happening. Anyways, I'll start sharing. Let's just start how it goes. It's like it is better. Okay, yeah. So what you were saying is that the solution code for week 1 is already available, right?
Yes, I mean it was appearing in dashboard.
Okay. So okay, my question is that shall we? Okay, so you want to discuss the solution, is it? Means you want me to go through that solution, or I didn't get the last sentence that you
No,
told.
if we want, we can discuss it cursorily towards the later half of the
Okay.
session.
All right. So yeah, let's move to week 2. Well, if since all of you, I would assume that would have attempted this assignment. So anyone would like to give a brief overview of what this assignment requires? Anyone would like to tell what all classes are given in this assignment and what needs to be done?
The three functions have to be completed.
Correct.
And based on the criteria, like there's this byproduct function which takes input of customer ID, product, and count. And basis the availability of the particular product in the uh, cafe,
Yeah.
if the count demanded is less than or equal to the stock available in the cafe, then that product will be served to the customer, and accordingly the stock will be updated in the cafe. I mean, the stock value will be updated in the cafe, and that particular customer will be stored in the cafe customer list.
Okay.
And if at all the a customer is trying to return the product purchased from the cafe will first keep a check whether that customer is genuine or not. And if the product purchase quantity being returned is more than the product which quantity which was purchased from the cafe, so that check will be done. And if that check is correct, then that product will be taken back by the cafe, and subsequently the stock will be updated, and the customer ID against which that many product were returned will be updated. If that particular customer ID has returned entire thing which was purchased from the cafe, then that customer ID will also be removed from the list of customers.
All right. Great. And the last function that just requires one line of code. So that
Yes.
for the
Yeah, that's the balance, current balance at the cafe. Yes.
okay. So, if we will read this problem statement very briefly once again. So, Vimlesh has already given a complete idea, an abstract of what needs to be done. So, in this entire programming assignment, we are actually given with 3 JavaScript classes. First class is product. Product can be defined with the help of 3 properties. One is what the name of the product is, what the price of it is, and what is the stock, what is the quantity, or in what quantity that product is available. The second class is customer products. We'll talk about it, that why this class is created. This is basically to maintain the history of all of the transactions that are being made at the cafe. And this is cafe. So how the cafe constructor is going to be initialized with our products. So what is this products? It is basically an array of objects of product class. That means what we will do is we will create, of course, we don't need to do it right here. That would be done in the backend. We just need to write the code for whatever functions we are required to. What is happening is that we will create multiple products. The product will require name, price, and stock. And what a cafe instructor, or sorry, a cafe object will require is an array of the objects that we have created for this product class. So let's say we have 100 products available in this product class. Let's say we have 100 instances of product class available with us. What we'll do is we will create an array of those 100 objects, and we will pass it to this cafe class constructor. This is how you can initialize the cafe class constructor or an object. The other thing that is required with that array is balance. So what is this balance? Can someone tell? What is this balance? that is required while constructing an object of this cafe class?
Stock value.
Exactly.
Price
It's the balance that
quantity.
cafe currently has.
Account balance.
Yeah, the cafe balance that, yeah, of course, the account balance that cafe currently has. When someone will make a purchase, this balance will go up. When someone will make a return, this balance will come down. This is what is going to happen. So what needs to be done here is, just a very brief introduction. So we have to write the definitions for these three methods: buy product, return product, and get current balance. In buy product, we are given three arguments, that is customer ID, product, and count. What we need to check is that whatever product that we have gotten as an argument here, is this product available in the cafe? Right. The other thing we need to check is that if the product is available, the quantity in which it is required, is that quantity basically something that is in the stock? That means, can we fulfill the customer's order? Remember, either the customer orders will be fulfilled, or it will be rejected. It cannot be fulfilled partially. It needs to be completely fulfilled. That means if customer is asking for 10, let's say 10 coffee, and we just have 8 available, so we are going to say that this order is rejected. That won't be partially accepted. Okay. So this is what we need to do here when we get the product, when we get the count. And once we see that, okay, the product is the purchase is going to be successful, this customer products will come into the play, this class. What we will do is we will create an instance of this class. We will create an object of this class, because what the constructor of this class requires is customer ID, product, and the count. Customer ID of that customer who is making a purchase, product, which product he or she is purchasing, count. What is the quantity of the product that he or she is going to purchase? What is the meaning, or what is the purpose of keeping a track of count? So that when someone comes back again and say that I want to return this product, we can cross check that, let's say someone purchases 10 items and comes back again next day and say I purchased 12 items and I want to return all of these. So that we can cross check in our database, in our track, that whether the count value was really 12 or something less than that. So of course that we'll see while coding. So yeah, these three things would be required in order to create a tag of a purchase. For each of the successful purchase, we will have to create an object of this class, that is customer products, right? For each successful purchase. And according to the return, we will have to update those objects somehow. So that means. So is the idea clear? What needs to be done?
Yes, sir. I mean, if all the criteria are fulfilled and makes a customer eligible for making a purchase from the cafe,
yeah,
then that purchase will happen, and that particular transaction, so to say, will be created in the which class was
customer
it?
products class.
Customer products class.
We'll create an instance of it. Okay, all right. So let us start with the buy product definition. So let's say a customer came and says that I am a customer with so and so customer ID. I want to purchase a product and I want this much quantity of this particular product. What is the very first thing that comes to your mind? What you should do? The first thing that you need to do is you first need to check that whether this particular product is available in our stock or not. Okay.
And if available, that how many quantities are there?
Yeah. So once we will confirm that, yeah, this product is available, we will go for the count. Let us first check that if product is available. Okay, we'll check for the count later. So let's say what I'm doing is I'm creating a variable simply, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for that product. So can someone tell me that where shall I search for that product? This is the product object that I have. I need to check that if a similar type of product is available in the cafe stock or not. So can someone tell me?
Array?
Correct. Remember that the cafe object was initialized with an array of objects of class product. So what we are going to check is we are going to check for this product set. So remember, this is an array. And what we are going to do is we are going to compare this product with each and every element of this products array and are going to check whether this product properties are matching with the properties of the objects that are stored in this products array. So a simple code that we can write here is, since we are going to access the products, we cannot access it directly. How do we access it? We will access it using this, because what we are doing is we are coding for a method. And since we are coding for a method, all of these properties that were required while creating an object, these will be available to the calling object by applying this reference. So this dot products I can use, and I will be able to access whatever the array of products this cafe object was initialized. I am going to use a simple JavaScript method here. That is fine. I hope all of you would have used this find method. Have you all used it, or you are seeing it for the first time?
First time, sir.
Okay. So what find method does is it actually iterates over an array and it returns the first object from that array which passes a particular condition. That condition is going to be specified within the set of these two parentheses. The condition will be satisfied here. What it does is it basically accepts a function, and whenever that function returns a true value, it simply returns that object. Right? So what I'm going to do is I am going to pass a function here. What I can do is I can pass a function this way. Function, let's say this is accepting one argument. So what this E is basically, you can say, some kind of an iteration variable that is going to refer to one element at a time in this products array. For example, if there are 100 elements in that array, for the first iteration, E is going to refer to the first element. For second iteration, E will refer to second. For third iteration, E will refer to the third element. The same thing. So since we are using this function for this place only, I would prefer to make an arrow function. In the last class or in the last session, we tried creating normal functions as much as we can, but this time we will try to create arrow functions. Instead of find, can we use includes? I'm not sure what includes method does. You can use includes if you know the behavior of it. I'm not sure about it right now.
Okay, sir.
So what this find does is, as I have explained, that it will start iterating over this array, that is this products array, and whenever this function will return true for a particular element. Let me repeat, whenever this function that we are writing here returns true for any particular element in this array, this find function is going to return that object, and that object will get stored in what? In a variable. Okay.
So we are, this is some products array, something like one particular item will appear only once in that array. It's kind of a dictionary.
It's kind of a dictionary. Sorry, I'm not getting it. Dictionary.
What I was saying, that suppose in the products array, a particular item, can it appear multiple times?
In products array?
Yes.
If this object of this cafe class, if it is initialized that way, then that can happen. It is possible. You can write multiple.
Exactly. Why I asked, because some such thing is not mentioned, if I'm right, in the problem statement. And suppose as and when the stock comes in the cafe and that is stored in the products array, then first find of that particular element may have a stock quantity which is less than the requirement, but subsequent place in the array where the stock that item is, stock can be sufficient.
Okay.
So if it is implemented like that, then it is difficult. But if it is
if we
like
think
a
it
dictionary,
from a logical point of view,
yes,
right, whenever you are trying to make these duplications, so what you should ideally do is you should update the previous object's value. So if this products is an basically array of objects, and let's say you already have something called apple whose stock count is 50, and let's say some more apples come. So instead of adding a new object in that same array itself, what you should ideally do is you should increase the stock for the existing object. So here you can assume that there won't be any duplication. But
Correct.
if the question is that can it be done? Yes, it can. Yeah, Chandrasekhar, you were saying something.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say the entry should be unique one. Suppose I say cold drinks.
Yeah.
So cold drink is a kind of product, so it should be having unique entry. We should not have repetition of
Correct.
that.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So now the logic that we are going to put in here is going to be simple. So see, what we are going to compare is that we have gotten this product and we want to check certain properties of this product with the products that are available in this products array. So we know that product object has three attributes: name and price. What we are going to check for here is just the name and price. We are not interested in the stock. We will check for the stock later on. So what we will do here is we will directly say that if e.name. So e.name is what? The product that you have gotten as an argument is something different. This e is what? This e is referring to one of the elements in this products array. And e.name is referring to the name of one of that object. So if this name is equals to, you can even use triple equals or double equals, anything is fine. If it is equals to product.name. So now what you are checking is that the product the customer wants to buy is the name of that product matching with something in your database or something in your stock. And the stock of it no, sorry, we should not check for the stock right now. We should check for the price. If the price of it is also matching with the object that we have in our database. So that is product.price. Are you getting what I'm trying to write here? What I have written is I am checking that the name of that product should be same and the price of that product should be same. So Bimlesh, again, if we come to your question.
Why are we checking price here?
Yeah, again, that's what I said. So let's come to your question again. Let's say there is some duplication in that products array. Well, I have already said that you can assume that there is no duplication at all. But sometimes what happens is that there are products with the same name, but their price actually differs. Right? There might be certain changes in the product, but their price actually differs. Maybe something that has come latest or that has come nearby. So the prices of it can be bit higher than the previous stock. So some things like these are possible. So that's why we are comparing for the name and prices. So in that case, if any such product exists in a database, that product is going to be returned, and that will get stored in what? In variable a. So this a is now an object. Okay, this a is an object, or you can say this is an object of type what? What is the type of this a variable?
Product, sir.
Yeah, of course, it is product. I'll put a semicolon here. Now, what will I check is that if a. What I'm doing by writing such code is I am checking that if a has something, that means if it would be an empty object, this condition would become false. Right? Otherwise, this find will not return anything. This is probably going to return undefined if there is no match exists. In that case, it is going to return undefined, and we are going to check that. So in this condition, this will only get true when there is something. That means when this find function has returned something. Now it's time to check for the stock. That means the stock that customer has requested. Do we really have that stock in our cafe or not? So can someone tell me that what condition shall I write? So of course it is going to be if, but which parameters shall I use? Which things shall I compare?
Quantity.
Sorry, okay. I will compare count, but count with what?
A dot count. It should be the count of the object.
But product has nothing like count. A is an object of type.
We have to compare contact with the stock then.
Correct. So what we are going to check is that if a dot stock, that means the stock of that product that is available in our cafe, is it greater than or equals to what the customer has requested from us. Let me repeat this statement. The stock of a particular item that we have in our cafe, is it greater than or equals to then the customer has requested from us? So if this condition is true, what do you think? What should happen?
Then only we shall proceed with picking the order.
Correct. In that case, we should proceed with the actual purchase. In that case, we can say that the purchase is going to be successful. At this point, we can say that. So if the purchase is successful, what all properties or what all attributes we need to update? Firstly, we need to update
stock. We need to decrease by count.
Exactly. So what we'll do is we will say that a dot stock is equal to a dot stock minus equals, sorry, just minus count. That means what we are saying is that we are decreasing the stock by count. Spelling mistake.
A dot stock.
Yeah. Other than that, what else shall we do?
We should create this update in the customer database also.
Yeah, we should do that. But before that, we actually need to update the balance of the cafe.
Yes, yes.
So we can access balance by using this again. So this dot balance plus equals to what?
Count into price.
Correct. So count multiply by product dot price. Okay, now let's say if I replace this count with what? Let's say a dot stock. Is it okay?
No, sir.
Why?
The entire stock will be the price of entire stock will be updated with the balance. This is what the current updated stock that we are having with the cafe.
Correct.
For
So
the particular
we are required to write here now. So what we are saying is that this dot balance, I am using a shorthand here. That means the balance, will be increased by what? With by this value. That is, you just take the price of that particular product that the customer is buying, and you just multiply it with the number of products or the number of items or the quantity of it. Now, once this is done, then we can proceed, with creating an instance of this customer products class. So can someone tell me that how do we create instances in JavaScript?
using a new keyword.
Yeah, we use new keyword, and we will use, please let me know if I'm making any spelling mistakes, any typos. Customer products. Okay. What all things should we pass here? It requires customer ID, it requires product, it requires count. So customer ID, can we pass it as it is? Can we pass it as it is?
So if it is already there, we need to check.
Yeah, we are getting this customer ID in this function as an argument, so we can directly use it, right?
Yeah.
We are inside the by product definition.
Okay, isn't it? We are going to check whether the customer has made earlier purchase or not. We are assuming here.
No. Means even if the customer has made a purchase before, and what is the relation?
Or if a customer, or if the customer is new.
Yeah, means that's what I'm asking. Let's say even if the customer has made a purchase before, so what?
Then we'll be having customer ID for that customer. If the
so what you are doing is you are just creating instances of this customer product class. Now, if the customer is making multiple purchases, you will create multiple instances. It's just like rows in the tables. Let's say if customer A comes today and purchases something, and the same customer comes tomorrow again and make some purchase. Then what you are going to do is you are going to create two separate entries in the table, right? This is just similar.
Okay, getting sir.
So the next thing that it requires is the product. So how shall we pass the product here?
As we are already.
So this customer ID is not going to be unique.
It will
For
be
a particular
It should be
customer.
unique. It should be unique. Definitely, it should be. That's why we are saying it customer ID. And this customer ID will be used when we will write the code for return product, because we will have to track back that whether such customer has made any purchase before. Is there any doubt in the customer ID?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah, so the second argument that we need to pass for creating this instance is the product. How shall we pass product here? Shall I directly write product? Is it okay?
This dot products.
Why this dot products?
Because we are referring to the particular product in the class.
Yeah, so we are getting this product as an argument here, right? We directly used product dot name. We directly used product dot price.
Correct,
we didn't use this dot product. So that's why we will use the product directly here. The next thing that we require is the count. What is the count? Count is again that we have got as an argument here. So everything is pretty much available in the function arguments itself. We just need to write them all over again. The object is created.
Sir, yeah. I have one doubt here.
Yes.
We are having one more in a class cafe constructor. We have written this dot customer underscore products, and that's also array.
Yeah.
Which contains a record of product purchase by.
Correct. Correct. So now what
we need to check.
I am going to use this array, customer products, and I am going to push the object that we just have created in this array. Okay, so I need to give it a name. Let's say, short for history, and I'll just push it in this array. Right now, what I have done is I created an object of this class, customer products, and what I did was I pushed that object in this customer underscore products array. Now, this array is storing what? This is basically storing all of the transactions that are happening. All of the purchases. This is keeping a track of all of the purchases that are made in the cafe. So, are you getting it?
What is the point, sir? What is the point of pushing customer ID every time? Because customer is unique one now. Or we are maintaining a common database of all the customers. Is it the reason we are pushing customer ID as well?
See, if you need to, store the information of a particular purchase, you first need to, find out that which customer actually has made that purchase. How will you find out if you will not store the customer ID along with that?
No, that I'm getting, sir. That I'm getting. But what I wanted to know, if the customer has made a purchase already.
Okay.
So now this is done on cafe side. That is what my first question, right? We are doing it on cafe side. We are generating one common database. Suppose 100 customers are coming. So for all 100 customers, their customer ID, their product, and the count, I'm going to push into this customer underscore products table.
Yeah.
Okay. What I was thinking is that customer underscore products is related to every customer. That's why I was confused.
You can say that it's basically a central database of that cafe. That whenever you want to visit, how many transactions have been made, you will visit this variable, this array.
Okay, I was thinking in a fashion that every customer's separate table will be maintaining. That's why the customer underscore products will only contain the list of product. Okay. Now that's clear, sir.
Okay. So now, since we have pushed this newly created object in this customer products, can someone tell me what is the next step? Now the purchase has been successful. If the purchase has been successful, what is the value that this function should return?
Should return true.
It should return true, correct. So remember the t should be small, should be in lowercase in JavaScript. So this if was for this if, okay. Now this else is for what? This else is for this condition. That means if the stock that we have in our cafe, it is less than what customer is asking for. In that case, what should be? The stock that we have in our cafe for a particular product is less than what customer is asking for.
So we should not proceed with it. We should not push those.
So we will simply say that this transaction cannot be completed. We will simply return false, that this purchase cannot be made. Right? And then else. What should I write here in this else? This else is what? This is when A has nothing. That means the product that customer wants to buy is not available in our care. In that case, also the purchase could not be completed.
Return false.
We will return false. So see, we are returning true when we have checked that a particular product exists. We have also cross-verified that the stock that we have is either equals to or more than what customer is asking for. If both of these conditions are satisfied, we are saying that the purchase is successful, and that's why we are returning true. In case we do not have the adequate stock, then we are returning false. In case we do not have the product in our in our list, then we are also saying that the purchase cannot be completed. So we have completed the definition for this byproduct function. Any doubts till now?
No, sir. Clear till now.
Anyone else? Any doubts? Shall we proceed with the next method, return product?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So since we have completed the definition for the byproduct, we are coming to return product. Again, this has to follow the same kind of rules that we have followed in byproduct. If the return is successful, we will return true, else we will return false. That means this method will return true or false. Like in the byproduct, we first check that if the product that customer is asking for, is it available in our list of products or not? Similarly, if the customer has come to return a product, what should we check? Can someone tell me?
Do we maintain that product in database?
Correct. We are maintaining a list here or an array here, customer products. So we need to check that whoever customer has come, firstly, we will check that whether any such customer ID or any such record with this customer ID exists in our records. Along with that, is there any record that where both of these are same? That means the customer ID is same and the product that customer is returning, that is also same. So we are interested in that product. So we are going to write the similar type of statement like we written above. So we will check that this dot customer products. Please let me know again if I'm making any typos. Dot fine. So again, right now what we are doing is we are searching for a particular element in a customer products array. Now, again, we have to define a function here. Let's define that function. So whenever the return value of this function will be true, that object would be returned. So what should we check here? We firstly need to check for the customer ID.
Customer ID.
Right. We will first check that if e.customer ID is it equals to what? The customer ID that we have gotten as an argument to this function. And what else shall we check? Same things.
E.product equal to product.
The same things which we checked above. We will check that if the name of the product is same and if the price of that product is also same. So these are the three things that we are checking or we are ensuring before we actually proceed with this return transaction.
Sir, are we not going to check the count that the customer made?
That we'll check again in the next step. Right now, we are just checking that if the customer is a legit customer or not. Of course, the legit customer will be decided by checking the next level things as well, that whether the customer wants to return a reasonable amount of goods. That we'll discuss further. So what we have done here is we have just looked into our customer products history in this customer products array and checked that if there is any record where the customer ID is matching with this customer ID, and in that record, the name of the product and the price of the product, is it matching with what the customer is saying. So this is what we have checked. And if we find any such record, let me just write the else condition side. The very first thing is if. That means if we get to know that, yeah, such record exists, that means there is a customer whose customer ID is valid. It exists in our track record as well. And the product that he or she has bought, it is also available. We can see in the customer history. Now, the thing that we need to make sure is that whether the customer is making a right return. Right return means, again, the quantity matters. Let's say the customer purchased 8 items before and now is coming and asking us to return 10 of it. I hope you are getting my point. The customer first purchased only 8 items previously, and now the customer has come and is saying that I bought 10 items and I want to return all of these 10. So no, that kind of transaction should not be allowed. We also need to check that whatever record that we have found in our database, in our tracks, whether the number of items that were purchased before and the quantity that customer wants to return right now, is there a difference between the two? If the customer wants to return more than what he or she has bought before, of course, the transaction cannot be completed. But if the quantity is less than or equals to than what he or she has bought before, then of course, we can proceed with the transaction in that case. So what we are going to check here is that if there is any such record available in the database, the very first thing we will check is if a.count. Now, what this a.count is going to represent?
The product that match in our history with the customer Correct. ID and product name.
Yeah, the quantity of item that was bought before by the same customer. We will check that if this count is less than what? Let's say less than count. What do you think? What should happen in this case?
We shall accept. It should be less than or equal to.
Are you sure?
No. It is the other way around.
No. A.count means whatever the history he made with the purchase, whatever the count he made.
Correct.
And whatever the count now we are getting from him. Suppose yes. I purchased 10 cold drink bottles. So I will return at most 10. I may return 8, 9. Suppose I consumed 1 or 2. Yeah. If I do not consume, I will return all of them.
So what is 10 here? Is it A.count or is it count? What is 10?
A.count is what the history that we had in our record. That is,
so
he
that
made
is 10,
a purchase
right?
of 10. 10, yeah.
Okay.
And the count is what he is returning now. If he is returning more, we should not accept. Right now it is more. Sorry, it is on other way.
Correct. So in that case, what should we do? Should we proceed with the return or not?
Return false.
No, we should not.
Correct.
False.
So in that case, we can directly say that we are going to return false. This return cannot be completed. Yeah. All right. We'll check for the other condition. The other condition, of course, can be that where the count is either less than or equals to this count, right? The previous count is either going to be less than or equals to this count. I am going to create 2 separate conditions for both of these cases. I will explain you the reason why. Right now, I'm just writing that condition here. If a.count, if it is, last time it was greater than, so this time it is going to be. Else if a.count, that means the quantity that was bought before is greater than what is to be returned. In that case, we can proceed with the transaction, of course. The return is legit. So it's time to make some changes. So can someone tell me what should we do?
The stock is to be updated and balance is to be updated.
Okay. So count. So this should be updated by what? This count. And the other thing is we need to update the balance. Okay, let's do one thing. We will update the balance later because the balance is to be updated for this condition as well as for the next condition, right? So we'll update it together at one place, at a common place. Else, now can someone tell me that what this else thing means? I'm talking about this Alif letter. What does else mean here? We have already written 2 set of conditions.
If it is a.count is equal to count, then that customer also has to be removed from the
correct
customer list.
That is precisely the reason that I'm creating 2 separate conditions. Because in this case, we cannot remove the entire history. We just need to update the count. for that particular entry in the database. But in this case, when the customer is returning the entire product, in that case, we need to remove that entry from our track recordings. So yeah, here what would I say is a.count. Will this remain same?
It's equal to count.
Or maybe updated, what we can do is
we can delete that particular customer from the array itself. No?
I think we missed one part here. One second. Okay. So what we need to do is, since the customer is returning, we also need to update it in the products array, because products is what the cafe is looking at while making any purchase or return. So we need to do a search in this products array also. So I'm not sure if this code should come here. We'll write this code later. So the very first thing that we need to do is, so we have already taken a variable. So we'll take b this time. And what we'll search for is, we will search for the same product in the products array. So this dot products dot find. Again, I will create an arrow function. And what thing shall I compare? What thing shall I compare?
The product name.
Of course, the name and price once again.
Price.
So this is what I'm going to compare. And once I will find a match for this. So can someone tell me that if I am going to find a match or not?
If we are going to find a match, then we'll update the quantity.
Definitely, we are going to find a match this time. Why? Because we have already checked that customer has made this purchase before.
Legitimate. Yeah.
So now, since we have already find out that this B is never going to be undefined or null, what we can say is we can directly update its stock value.
Here we are entering into the if condition. That is why it is a match.
Yeah, correct. We entered into this condition by checking or by looking into our track records or in our previous purchases or the previous transactions that the cafe had. Now, once we are sure that yes, this transaction was made before in this cafe, we have entered into this if condition. And once we have entered into this if condition, we are certain that, of course, since this transaction was made before in our cafe, we can say that this product is going to be available in our products. That means in the list of products that we sell in our cafe. So that's why we are not checking for this B, whether it exists or not. We are sure that this B is going to have some value, some object. So now what we are doing is we are directly updating the stock of that particular object. So how shall we update the stock?
Current stock plus the return quantity.
Yeah, what is return quantity?
Count.
What? Yeah, it is count. What other thing we need to do?
Sir, I have one doubt here.
Yeah.
As in line number 117, we are already making sure the customer is legitimate and we had the record for that product in the products array. Why do we need to have one more check at 124? Directly we can write at 126 a dot stock plus equal to count.
Okay, so if you will look at the byproduct definition, how are you allowing a purchase to be successful? What you are basically looking at is you are checking that if a particular product exists in your products array or not. If it is available, what you are doing is you are updating the stock in your products array, right? So here also you will have to update the stock of that particular product in the products array, so that the next time when a customer wants to purchase the same product, you should be looking at the updated stock quantity of that particular product. You have to update it back into the products arrays. This is
for that
why we require it to be done.
Separate variable B.
Yeah. So we have what we have done is we have just taken that object into a separate variable because A is already having that object. A is having object from customer products. B is having object from products.
Products array.
Yeah.
Clear. So one more thing. Will you please scroll to line number 90?
Line number 90.
90.
Yeah.
So this we have written e dot name is equal to product dot name.
Yeah.
Is this dot name is already we defined somewhere in top? Dot name and dot price.
Name is a property for a product. So if you will look at the product class constructor, so you will see that name, price, and stock is what is required to create an object.
Okay. I just wanted to know it's.
So since E is what? E is basically an object that is available in the products class, and we know that products. Oh, sorry, not a products class, products array. And we know what this products array is. This is a collection of what? Collection of objects of class product.
Correct.
So let's say this is going to have 10 products, and each of that product is going to have its own name, own price, or whatever properties the project class or project object has.
Yes, clear. Good.
So yeah, we have updated the stock of it. That means stock of that particular product. Since we went back into the products and we updated that quantity for that particular products. The other thing we need to do is we need to update the balance of the cafe. So how the balance of the cafe is going to be changed? Is it going to be decreased or increased?
Decreased. We are going to return the amount.
Correct. You have to pay back the amount to the customer. Okay. So what you would do here is minus equals to what?
Count into price.
Multiply that. Price. So you need to say product dot price. I'll just put it inside the brackets. Okay. Yeah, great. Now, after that, we will check for the other two cases. That means if the count is greater or if the count is equals. So we will check that if a.count is greater than count. In that case, what should we do? We should simply update this count with what? By subtracting the count value from, right?
Yeah.
In the next case, of course, you can assume, but this yeah, so you can assume what this else case or when this else case will happen. We have already discussed that when a.count is less than count is taken care of here. A.count is greater than count is taken care of here. The only thing that is remaining here is what?
Equal to this. We have to remove the customer. Removing the customer from the list.
Correct. So I think we need one more. Yeah. Okay, this a.count, of course, this needs to be done here as well. Well, we know it is going to be 0 this time, but anyways. Just a second, let me see if I'm not making any other mistake. Else a.count. I think, yeah, we are not even required to do that. Because what we are going to do is we are going to directly delete this delete this object from this customer products array. So there is no point updating the count value. What we'll do is we'll simply say this dot customer products dot object. Are you getting my point? Why I'm doing this?
We are reaching that equal to condition and then we are removing entire transaction.
Correct. Yeah. So instead of updating this count, of course, I could have done that as well, but there is no point doing that because what we are doing is we are deleting that entire entry from the track. So that's why there is no point of doing that. You could do that as well. No, it's not an issue, but ultimately you are deleting an object, so that won't matter.
So can't we have line number 126 as a last case, as a general case in all these three?
Can we have line number 126 as
126? In all these three cases as a common case, that is a dot count less than count, a dot count greater than count, and a dot count equal to count. It will come in all three cases. In all these three cases, we are going to update the stock with the count.
Yeah, so it is common for all such cases. See, this is outside the scope of all of those three conditions.
Okay.
This condition scope ends here. This is the other condition. And this is the other condition. So this is written outside the scope of all of those three conditions.
And what I wanted to know, once that 126 line number declared, do we really need to write a dot count minus equal to count?
Yeah, because A is what?
130.
A is what? A is an object from customer products array. And B was what? B was an object from the products array. These two are different. They both needs to be updated.
Okay.
Customer products needs to be updated so that you can have a proper history, and products needs to be updated so that when someone will come and make, ask for something, you should have the correct quantity in order to make that purchase successful or unsuccessful.
Okay, if customer got 10 pieces of a product and returning 8, so entry will be maintained with the number 2. We'll maintain the customer ID.
Yeah.
The product count equal to 2. Okay, great things.
All right. So just thinking that where this if condition has come from, or this is if, this is else. Okay, all right. So since this purchase has been successful, see, if we would enter into this condition A, we would right away check that if the count that customer is asking, if it is greater than what he or she bought before, we will directly say that no, this return cannot be successful because you are asking for something, impossible, because it cannot be whatever you bought before, you cannot return something more than that. Okay. So now what you are doing is you are returning false at that time itself, and after that you are doing all of the computations. Now, once you are done with all of those computations, can you say that this return is successful? Can you say that this return is successful now at this stage at line number 135?
Yes, sir. Balance is also updated. Stock is also updated.
Yeah. So yes, at this point, you. So this else should also go. Yeah. At this point, you can say that the transaction has been completed and you can return. But what about this else case? What should you do here? What should you return?
Return false.
False. False. Why?
Return false.
Yeah, false. Why?
Because the customer is not legitimate. Customer is not having valid.
Correct.
Purchase.
We are not able to find any relevant details in our previous records. So that's why it's simply going to be false. Okay. All right. So I guess we are done. We have mentioned that when this transaction will be successful and when this transaction will be unsuccessful. We are almost done with the return product definition as well. And if we talk about this get current balance, so I guess every one of you can answer. What should we do? This dot balance. Right?
Yes, sir.
I'll just copy this so that it doesn't get lost when I do anything else. Okay, they're still here, right? Okay, so I'll do test run and see if everything works fine. So 2 out of 3 test cases passed. One is still not passing. Which one is not passing? Let's see. 22300 false. Okay, this one is not passing basically. So what is happening is that if someone asked for biscuit, then okay. So that means there is some issue in the return function. Yeah, return product. Let's see. So what we are doing here is let's say if I mention here, if a dot count equals to count, just for better clarity for us, return true. So what it is returning is, it is returning false.
So in fact, that update we did with the variable b, we should be doing that when a dot count is greater than count.
Okay. So sorry. Can you just repeat once again? I didn't get it.
When we are doing see when we are entering the first if block and we are checking for the count,
yeah,
a dot count less than count, then we are returning false.
Hmm.
After that, I think we should be checking this condition that if a dot count is greater than count, then we should update the stock. And then
stock of what?
I mean, this b, let b equal to entire this thing
Yeah.
should be under this if condition, a dot count greater than count.
Why?
Then we are updating the stock basis that the count is, I mean, return quantity is less than the current, I mean, the quantity which is there in the history.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that these three lines are common both of these cases. Doesn't matter if your count is greater than or if your count is equals to what the customer is returning back right now. The products array, it needs to be updated in both of the cases. The balance of the cafe needs to be updated in both of the cases. So even if you keep this inside this if condition, you will have to write it inside this else if condition as well. Are you getting my point?
Yes. I mean, this is a common task.
Yes. Let me see again if this else if makes any difference. Okay. There seems to be some issue. So let's say if it is biscuit, and what is it is, I think it is a price. No, this should be true. But why is it coming as false? Check once again. So what happens is the way we enter here, check that this dot customer products dot customer ID equals to, I hope there is no typo at least here. Oh, okay, that is the issue. So see, what is happening here is that when you are iterating over this customer products array, right? What are you putting inside a customer products array? You are putting the objects of this class, right? Customer products class. And what are the different properties through which you can construct an object of this class? It is customer ID. It is product. Remember, it is a product. It itself is an object. So you cannot say e.name. What you need to do here is you need to say e.product.name. Similarly, e.product.price. Because product itself is an object. Okay. Yeah, let me do it once again. Yes, that was the problem. Okay. So I hope you got it. What was the issue? Remember, we are iterating over customer products array. An object inside this array is constructed with three things. One is customer ID. Second is product, which itself is an object. So when you say e.name, so e doesn't have a property name in it by itself. We have to use product.name. So product is something that has a property name available. But e itself doesn't have any direct name property available. Did you get it?
Yes, sir.
And yeah, we added one else if here, so this should not be added, I guess. We added it just to cross check, so it should work even without that as well. Yes. All right. Yeah. So we are done with the this assignment basically. Now let me know if you guys have any doubts, any queries regarding this assignment. Yes, anyone having any queries?
Clearly explained, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So in case there are no queries, I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay, I hope you would have understood the week 2 programming assignment specifically. We didn't go for week 1 as we assumed that all of you had already done that successfully. So that's why we just took for week 2. And I hope we discussed it in enough details today as well. All right, so if there are no more queries.
In the week 1 solution code, it was really simple code condition which is given. And
yeah,
I went for so many checks, which might not be required, but yes.
Yeah, so the test cases that we have kept, they are not quite complex. We just want you to, since of course it was a week 1 programming assignment, we expect that many of you may not have JavaScript background before, and it's really difficult to write complex code right from week 1. So that's why the test cases were quite simple. So there were many corner cases that could be taken into consideration while writing those test cases, but they were not. So that's why the test cases were made so simple. Even for this week 2 assignment, I would say that we just took one corner case. Apart from that, there was no other corner case that was taken.
Thank you for conducting this extra session, sir.
Okay, all right. Then we will meet tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday, so yeah, we'll meet at 9 a.m. then.
Thank you, sir.
All right then. Yeah, thanks for coming into the session, and have a good night. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Abhishek. I will close the session.